What is up, everyone? It's Chad Goes to Go. Wanted to hit you with another video to kind of make up for lost time, but also we have what is probably the most epic Boruto chapter that's come out so far, just as far as information goes. I mean, this chapter was ridiculous, but let's get into just this full-on overview, because a lot happened. So forgive me, I wrote a lot of stuff down, so I'm pretty sure I'm not missing too much, but there's some conversation to be had between some of these things. But starting off, we have Kawaki and Kurama. So Kurama was asked by the other Kage, apparently, to watch Kawaki when Naruto can't, which is when he's sleeping. And the thing is, what makes this really cool, what makes it special, is they have this talk. You know, it's kind of like Naruto's talk no jutsu when he goes into his life story, and you know, it shows him on the swing. You know, when the swing shows up, you know, that's when it's, oh shit, here we go again. I mean, that's like talk no jutsu formula right there. So we essentially find out that Naruto has talk no jutsu automated through Kurama, but Kurama tells him just a brief history of Naruto, that he was always alone, and you know, the irony of, you know, this kid who was lonely all his life learning a technique like the Shadow Clone Jutsu to kind of fill a void was ironic. And you know, he's telling Kawaki he sees a lot of Naruto in him, and he goes a little into his history, saying that he was regarded as a demon, and he has killed a lot of people, and amongst those people, 2 of them are Naruto's parents, as we already know. But this is new information for Kawaki. And it just kind of showcases Naruto's kind and forgiving spirit. He's been wronged many, many times, and I mean, it seems like almost nothing that anyone can ever do will stop him from showing someone love, which is kind of cool. It can be regarded as being naive, but you know, it shows Kawaki, this guy who everyone says like that you guys were the same person, and he turned out this amazing character. I mean, Kawaki asked Kurama directly, "Do you think I could be someone like him?" And Kurama says, "You definitely can, but it's up to you. You know, you have to do those. You have to make those moves to put yourself in that position, because it took a lot of strength from Naruto to push through and persevere and become as strong as he was, not physically, but emotionally and spiritually. He had to steel himself." So he said, "It's really up to you." And Kawaki, he cries. I mean, this is the final step in his developmental arc. This is what he needed, because he's never really been told by anyone that he's got potential to be someone amazing. He was just a tool all his life. Before Jigen got to him, he was just abused by his father. He didn't mean anything. Then Jigen got to him, and he thought maybe he'd found someone that would care for him, but ultimately was just another tool for Jigen to use, and if he didn't take to karma well, he would just be tossed away and killed. But he's getting love from all of these places now. He's getting love from Boruto's entire family. He's getting love from the other kids in Boruto's class, Shikidai, Inojin. I mean, everyone is really taking into Kawaki. We even saw Ino show some love, in a kind of creepy way, but it still showed some love. And now he's getting this kind of love from a demon. I mean, what else does it take for someone to come around, you know? And so I thought Kurama kind of closing that arc of his character development right there was perfect, because Kurama had his own developmental arc with Naruto. So I mean, it just came around full circle, and it was beautiful. So after the talk, it shows Kawaki learning how to walk on the street. Well, not learning; he mastered it, and he's like, "All right, this is easy." And he's got the hang of chakra control, and he wants Naruto to teach him the Shadow Clone Jutsu. And he's like, "Well, like, all right, like I can, but it's gonna be hard, you know." And Boruto's like, "Well, it wasn't hard for me," and, which is kind of funny, because we all know Boruto's a prodigy. Apparently Kawaki is too. He's someone that was not raised into, you know, being a ninja like everyone else. He's learning very fast. All of these things. You know, these guys in the regular class, they don't start learning how to walk on stuff till close to the tuning exams, which is about a year or so of training, and he's learning this within, you know, a couple of weeks. So that's impressive in and of itself. Then it shows Sarada and Chocho looking down on the field where they're training, and Sarada is jealous of Kawaki because he's getting all of this attention from the Nanadaime, Naruto, and we know that Sarada wants to be the next Hokage. She wants to train under Naruto. And you know, the thing is that this is not the first chapter they kind of show Sarada kind of giving Kawaki this sort of side eye. I feel like it's a little more than jealousy. I feel like she might have a thing for Kawaki. It's really tough to say, but it's also making me question how she's going to deal with this. Because some people can take this as a form of rejection, and we know Chiha did not deal with you know, rejection so easily. So it's kind of concerning, and I hope we don't see Chiha kind of go rogue just because she didn't get enough attention. But I highly doubt that'll happen, but she does seem a bit off. You know, she's not her normal self with all this going on. So as they're training, you know, it's zoomed out to show Sarada and Chocho, and then you zoom out more, you see Shikamaru inside. They're sitting on some higher stairs, and Shikamaru he doesn't trust Kawaki still. And it kind of makes me wonder if Shikamaru is losing his life. I don't know how many of you have read Shikamaru, the Hida novels, but he has definitely become more accustomed to the dark side of things. It's not just, you know, it's not just Naruto's world where it's all light, it's all, you know, it's all fun and it's all love. Shikamaru almost killed the Tsuchikage and the Mitsukage. He was willing to do this in the name of peace. It wasn't you know, extremely malicious, just for like no reason. But he did it, and it's not what Naruto stood for. Naruto, of course, got angry when he did it. But this kind of shows Shikamaru is very protective of Naruto and what's going on. And that's only right, as his right, I don't know if he's, well, let's see. Sasuke is his right-hand man. He's got to be the left-hand man. So, you know, as his left-hand man, so to speak, I mean, it's only right, but to kind of lose faith in, you know, a kid, it's kind of weird, you know, for Shikamaru's character. So as they're having this conversation about Shikamaru not trusting Kawaki, Shikamaru reaches into his pocket and holds up a box of cigarettes and says, "Are you looking for these?" And a lot of people are looking at this this moment is just like, Sai's way of saying F you to Shikamaru. It's actually the very opposite. He's just kind of pushing a point forward that just because someone's not close to you doesn't mean that you can't trust them. But just because someone is close to you doesn't mean that you should just trust them for long. Because Sai and Shikamaru are partners. These guys work closely together. And he stole something close to Shikamaru, like literally and figuratively, which were his pack of cigarettes. And that came from someone he didn't expect it from. So, I mean, it just shows how far trust gets you. I mean, it's such a fickle thing, and anyone can do anything to you at any given time. But he's just saying, give this kid a chance. And furthermore, he says, like, with all the evidence given, and that was observed by the Kondo, there's not enough that stacks up against Kawaki to say that he's going to stab the village in the ass, and he actually says in the ass instead of in the back. That was kind of weird to me. But, Sai, he's totally fine with Kawaki. He doesn't think he's going to turn on the village at all. So as we start heading towards the juiciest part of the chapter, Shikamaru inquires about data that Konohamaru brought back regarding Jigen. And Sai informs him that something similar to coordinates were found, which seemed straightforward, as if they were, like, Kara wanted them to be read by the leaf. And he continues to say that the only way to get to those coordinates that were given to them are by using space-time ninjutsu. And then we see Sasuke pop into where we can safely assume are the coordinates, and he shows up dull. And it put such a bad taste in my mouth, because he said all of the damning evidence right there that it was like the coordinates were meant to not only be found, they were meant to be translated and read. And it's obvious that the only way to get there is space and ninjutsu. So it seems like it's an obvious trap for Sasuke, and you're going to make him go there alone? I mean, did we not learn anything from Jiraiya? This is infuriating on so many levels, and it's careless on even Sasuke's part as well. I mean, why put yourself in that position? Like, yeah, you can get there. What does that mean? I'm gonna put it up. It's your scientists were so focused on whether they could, they never stopped to consider if they should. Like, yeah, you can get there, but it's an obvious trap for Sasuke. Think about this. The only way Kara is going to carry out whatever the hell they're trying to carry out is if they separate Sasuke and Naruto. If they're both together on the battlefield, the battle's going to be exponentially harder. But if they can kill one or separate them to fight them separately, it makes the battle much more doable. So Sasuke shows up more, and he lands on this platform, and the place looks like the looks like the hidden cloud ravine where Sasuke or Heavy was it Taka? It was Taka. Went to go fight B. That's what it looks like, but it's not. And on these stone like pike cliff things, there's these symbols, and Sasuke goes to observe all the symbols, and he goes up to one and presses it, and we see Kinshiki on this platform, the one that Sasuke landed on, and Sasuke is like, he kind of jumps, he's like, whoa, what is he doing here? But he notices it's just a hologram. So he figures that once you touch these symbols, it will show whoever the symbol is meant for. Now, this is probably the most, maybe not the most mind-blowing part of the chapter, but definitely really, really interesting, because as he goes on to press each one, you know, we get Momoshiki, we get Kaguya, and then he steps back and he was like, dude, all of these symbols are depicted as pairs. So it was Kinshiki symbol was below Momoshiki's symbol. And then we had Kaguya's symbol, and he was like, I don't want to, you know, consider this, but given the evidence, these aliens have been traveling in pairs. So what if Kaguya came with someone else? So he walks above Kaguya's symbol. Now the fact that it's above is the scarier part, because we thought Kaguya was the problem. If she was just the subordinate, we have a giant problem on our hands now. So he goes to touch the symbol. The hologram pops up, and of course, it's not convenient, because even though we saw Kaguya's face, we get the backside of this guy. And, I mean, just by looks, this guy looks like he can just destroy a planet. He just has that cool anime look. He's got this, he's a very tall guy. He looks like he's probably muscular as well, but not in like an overly jacked way. But he's got that slim fitted trench coat that goes all the way down to his ankles. And then he's got one horn that looks like wraps around the back of his head, comes up to the front, and goes out. And he's got, it looks like Stage 6 Paths markings, but it's nothing like, there's no like, you know, super special design, just straightforward down the cloak, down both arms, wearing black gloves and black boots. And he has this giant popped collar, like he just knows what he's doing. He looks like the old Suzuki biker. Like, he looks like a legit problem. And so, as Sasuke is observing him, he hears a growl, a huge growl, right? And he's like, "Whoa, something's under that platform." So he jumps down off the side of this little mountain thing that the symbol was on, and he goes under the platform. And what else would we see under the platform? A freaking Jubi. I mean, as if it wasn't enough to find out that we just didn't consider that Kaguya came with someone else, and the fact that she's probably the subordinate to whoever that guy is. There's a Jubi under this platform. And we already know how much of a problem the Jubi is. We went through an entire war arc. We're trying to bring one down, and nothing was working. Nothing was working. So, I mean, of course Sasuke's kind of shook. It's got the Rinnegan and everything, and he notices. He goes down to observe it, but it can't lash out at him because it's being suppressed by black chakra rods. It's in all of its tails, and I think it's in its hands as well. So it is bound in place, and he's wondering like what kind of person would and could do this. And then we get back to our guys in the Leaf, which was like, I mean, I guess it's good for the readers who, like me, kind of lose breath at things like that. Like, we're building up so much anxiety at this point. But we get back to the Leaf crew, and they're making parallels between the Karma Seal and the Byakugo Seal, which I find super interesting. You know, and Kawaki kind of doubts that there's any similarity between the two, because they were saying, you know, they're similar shapes and whatnot. And he was saying, you know, just because they're similar shapes doesn't mean that they have any relation. Like, you can find a diamond shape anyway. But when Mitsuki chimes in, and he says it might be a little more interesting than we think. He says that Orochimaru says that the Byakugo Seal has a very lengthy history, but on top of that, its history is a bit of a mystery as well. But he says he's going to ask as soon as he gets home to kind of get to the bottom of karma, because they're going to have to learn how to, one, use it, and two, get rid of it if need be. So Kawaki, Boruto and Mitsuki are about to run off to go to Orochimaru's hideout to go ask about the Yakuza secret. They ask Kawaki if he wants to come, and he says no, he's got some stuff to handle back at home, which he means the base. He needs to finish that base, which I think is really cool. This is Kawaki not putting himself over, the family that took him in. It's just a vase. Like, at the end of the day, it is just a vase. But to him, it's so much more, and the fact that he's not focused on himself anymore is amazing as far as his character goes. And I'm really learning to love Kawaki. Like, he's getting up there as one of my favorite characters in this series right now. And it's getting harder for me to believe that he turns on the leaf like we see in the beginning of the series. I mean, a couple of things make me question, how or if he does. I mean, it makes me question what we all really clearly saw. But Kawaki stops to tell Boruto before they leave that at some point the two of them are going to have to make that showdown against G. And before that happens, they need to get stronger. And Boruto agrees. He's like, yeah, but this isn't just about karma. This is about us. I can't just leave you alone with the problems that we have. And he fist bumps his chest and calls him brother. And I mean, if Kawaki wasn't already having just an emotional day already, to have this bratty ass kid Boruto regard you as a brother, take you in like that, and to express some higher level of care and empathy and sympathy towards you. I mean, it's really got to hit home for him. And you can tell that he feels the same way about Boruto now as well. And he's like, that's all I wanted to hear. And, like I said, it really makes me wonder, like, what is going to happen to make them fall out the way they do. I can't even make a really good headcanon that would showcase why Kawaki would maybe kill Naruto or do whatever he said he did to Naruto and go against the leaf. I don't even know. This is absolutely insane to me. But then we get back to the juicy stuff. I was so afraid they were going to go back to Sasuke's whole situation. So they go back to Sasuke. He's still observing the Jubi. But then a space-time ninjutsu portal opens up. And of course it's not Sasuke. Now, we know that the only beings capable of opening a space-time ninjutsu, or portal, is Sasuke and the Otsutsuki. That's it. So when this portal opens, I'm already assuming this is an Otsutsuki. Like, it's probably that guy that we just saw, the mystery Otsutsuki in the hologram. Or, who knows? It could be another Otsutsuki that we haven't met. I don't know. Almost anything is game at this point in the chapter. And we get a close-up on the feet, and it's walking out of the portal. And who do we see other than Jigen? I mean, this chapter keeps throwing these things in, like, oh, hey, you overlooked this, and ooh, we're going to put a Jubi in there, and look, Jigen is opening a space-time portal. And now, I personally am just like, what the hell is going on? Because Jigen doesn't have Rinnegan. I have some theories as to how that happened. I'll put it at the very end. I'll talk about what I think is going on. But let's get through this because it just gets insane. So Jigen pops out of there, and he wastes no time to he makes a beeline straight to the Jubi, and he's floating in front of it, and the Jubi is not happy to see him at all, so he tries to eat him. And Jigen responds in the most peculiar way, and it's really disturbing. He says, there. Haven't I told you that you can't eat me just yet? I have to finish the dozen first. It was probably the bottom 10 things I would have expected him to say. And this is on a list of like a million things. Because that is the reverse of what someone would do with the Jubi. Because the Jubi would turn into a tree that would bear the fruit, and you would eat the fruit to gain the power. Like we saw with Kinshiki and Momoshiki. But Kinshiki was able to, of course, skip the whole tree thing. You could just be the fruit. So why would he make it eat him instead? It just doesn't make sense to me. So after this backwards thing that Jigen says, he proceeds to tell it, sorry, but I'll be taking some more. And he reaches out his hand and he starts absorbing the Jubi's chakra. And as he's absorbing, his karma on his chin starts reacting. And he starts to transform. And he starts to transform into the hologram of the mystery Otsutsuki. We see the horn start forming on his head. And Sasuke is like, isn't that the guy that I just saw? That was the mystery Otsutsuki. So Jigen finishes up absorbing whatever chakra he needed. And he kind of looks down and away and to what I think might have been Sasuke's direction. And he says, well, should I go greet them? The two vessels I mean? But he said it in a way like he wanted to be heard. And that disturbs me because not only, if he wanted to be heard, Sasuke is in a really tough situation because, one, I think Jigen knows he's there. He has to because those coordinates were made for Sasuke. I mean, it's so tough. Like, Jigen's obviously gearing up for some type of confrontation with either Naruto or Sasuke, or possibly both. But I'm assuming it's just one. And that's why he went to the Jubi to get some power. And he might be making that stand to get Kawaki back, or to take Boruto, or maybe both, or kill one, take the other, who knows. But it's very obvious that he is about to step in front of probably Naruto. And man, it's not going to be pretty. Because based off of everything we saw, him transforming into that Otsutsuki, with his karma seal, and we still don't know the base of his powers, it looks like Naruto could be in a lot of trouble. So the chapter ends with Mitsuki and Boruto talking about karma and the possibility of it not coming off. But the page edge says that they're en route to Jigen's hideout, which I think is just a miswording. Because they're supposed to be heading over to Orochimaru's to inquire about the Byakugo seal and take a look at the karma seal. So I don't know what that was all about, because they're not being accompanied by Naruto or anyone else. I mean, why would they go face Jigen? So if you read that and got confused, I'm like 99% sure that they're not just heading to Jigen. Plus Jigen's not even there. But this chapter, straight up 10 out of 10 on just like wow factor. So let's talk about Jigen really quick. I have a lot of people that were talking to me, just giving their ideas on Jigen, and a lot of people seem to think that that Jigen is an Otsutsuki himself. To which I say he's definitely not. And the proof is in the fact that he's got karma. Karma is given to you when you kill an Otsutsuki, and that's what we've been told. That's the narrative that's been painted. And on top of that, as far as him transforming into the mystery Otsutsuki, it seems as though it's a possibility that the further you take your karma transformation, the closer to the Otsutsuki you transform to, the one that you killed. So I'm thinking that Jigen killed Kaguya's partner. And so he got karma from him, so when he uses his karma, it turns him more into that Otsutsuki. Like we see with Boruto, how we saw that Momoshiki is still inside of him. I do think that he would start taking the form of Momoshiki if his karma was pushed enough. But I mean, we don't have any evidence of him really transforming into anything like Momoshiki yet. But I think it's safe to assume that based off of what we saw from Jigen. Now, it's either that or that Jubi could possibly be the missing Otsutsuki, Kaguya's partner. And he started transforming into him because that's his chakra. And karma's just kind of resonating with whose chakra that belongs to. So that could definitely be a possibility as to how that's going down. But we've got to figure out what happened to this missing Otsutsuki, where he was, because Kaguya was obviously just doing her own stuff, trying to, hide, things from people, blah, blah, blah. But the bigger question is, if Jigen actually did kill this missing Otsutsuki, how did he do it? Because at this point, no one, aside from Naruto and Sasuke, should have been able to bring down a god, but he did. And that's really disturbing. It's really scary because it says that either one, Jigen is very, 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 very old, or two, that they might have got the drop on that god with technology, because cars are very advanced with technology. And if that's the case, that puts all of our characters at risk. But it also means that something happens somewhere and there's this huge showdown. And there's no way the showdown happened between a god and Jigen or Kara and no one noticed. Like, it had to have gone down somewhere, and when it did, they chose not to say anything and let Kara lay low. And I might be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure I read somewhere that one of the villages was going to betray the alliance. So that's kind of what I'm leaning towards, is that one of the villages knows about Kara. And that's kind of disturbing, because we worked really hard for the peace that we see, and now it's all at risk, and this looks much worse than anything we saw in the war. We have a full-on Julian, we have a guy that just straight up controls it, and is just using it for power, and knows the secrets of karma and how to utilize it. I mean, this all spells trouble. And on top of that, with advanced ninja tech, it's starting to look like an uphill battle for everybody, including Naruto and Sasuke. But I'm very curious to see, you know, what they find out about the Byakugo seal in correlation to the Karma seal. And just everything that we saw today, I hope Sasuke remains okay, and I hope he doesn't become a Jiraiya situation. If it does, it does. I mean, it's Boruto now. The Naruto story is over, and I'm sure at some point Sasuke and Naruto are going to die, and it's something we've got to deal with. But I hope it's not this soon, because man, Sasuke is in a tough situation, and I think Giganos is there. But hey, let me know what you think in the comments below. Let me know what you thought about the chapter as a whole, because I thought this was a perfect 10. It just had so much in it, from page to page, from panel to panel. And they're just cranking out really good stuff, and it's just a shame the anime is not anywhere close to this. So, like, subscribe, share, and be excited, because Boruto is going to start becoming bi-weekly. So, no more monthly reviews. But yeah, take a look at my other videos. I do Black Clover content as well. That series is taking off already. And let me know if there's anything else you want me to read or anything you want me to watch and give an opinion on. I also have a music video up on here. Please take a look at it. I worked super hard on it. I'm sure you guys will like it. It's a Maroon 5 song. But I'll also be working on some music, kind of getting over whatever I have. And since I've been doing these reviews today, I feel like I'm starting to lose my voice. So I don't think I'll be able to do the other videos I have planned. But just stay on the lookout. And yeah, follow me on Instagram, OATz to go.